Americans stunned by terror attacks in San Bernardino, California, Paris, Fort Hood, Texas. Mass shootings in offices and other public places.
They're happening and causing legitimate concern, raising the question, should you carry a gun? And if you already do and you have a concealed weapons permit, would you know how to respond to a threat? Nearly 1.5 million people here in Florida and 750,000 in Georgia are licensed to carry a gun. But how many know what to do until law enforcement gets there?
You guys will be helping each other out.
This weapons expert, known around the country, teaches the right tactics, not only to law enforcement and military personnel, but also to civilians who legally carry. Ken Justice went to Georgia to participate in civilian training to find out what armed citizens can learn if they ever have to act in an attack.
Yeah, Joy and Tom, the easy way to remember this, it's all about training the good guy. And this training is intense, both educationally, facing realities of active shootings in America, and then literally by putting yourself in the line of fire. It feels like the real deal during scenarios, and I can tell you because I participated, as you'll see. They are specifically designed for personal protection and defending others. A doctor's office, a movie theater, a typical workplace. Real gunfire, although the bullets aren't deadly. Just some of the 8 different scenarios we were put through.
Somebody call 911!
Real tension.
Show your hands!
Although the stress is something everyone in this shootout knew was coming.
All right, at a roll!
Was that intense or what? You cleared your line of fire. That's definitely a huge plus.
Real learning from an expert who knows.
You have to decide right then and there, am I going to get involved? Do I possess the equipment necessary to get involved? And is getting involved the wisest decision for me?
Aaron Cowan is the instructor, the man behind the company Sage Dynamics.
Get this guy secured. Get some help. Get him secured. Don't do it yourself.
A U.S. Army veteran who worked private security contracts and then joined the Department of Defense. Leaning on his expertise, the company offers dozens of courses surrounding weapons use.
When you drew your gun to deal with the threat, did you have time to give any verbals to draw your gun to tell all these guys you're a good guy?
This particular one focuses on the basics of force-on-force situations. Simply put, it's about citizen response to an active shooter, and it incorporates the same essentials for experts in law enforcement and the military.
The most important thing a student's going to get is the realization that, like for firearms, for self-defense with a firearm, that being able to mechanically work the gun is literally like the lowest level of operation. It's the beginning.
We went for a 2-day course Cowan was giving near Atlanta in a building owned by Georgia Optics. Really the perfect backdrop for both the class instruction.
About 2 seconds after that, shooter's going to come in and he's just going to start shooting.
And then the hands-on learning.
When it comes to preparation, obviously training is the biggest aspect of that.
Day one, looking at how things have changed since Columbine High School in 1999. That was the first time people at home saw this type of tragic event as it happened on live TV.
He's shooting in the library right now. He's firing shots from the library.
Cowan included examples of other mass shootings, too.
Looking at 50 active shooter events from 1973 to 2010.
What these students have in common, they own a gun and are determined to know how to handle things in a deadly situation.
I've taken 2 classes with Aaron, and both times I've walked away with a lot of knowledge that has changed my perspective on how I do things and a lot of considerations for real life.
Basically, it comes down to that there's bad people out there that may try to either keep me from my sons or try to harm my sons, and my job is to not let that happen.
Chris Willis is a single dad, and that is his motivation for training. Just owning a gun wasn't enough, and he doesn't believe that's enough for anyone.
Really, the only way I think one can be ready for this type of situation is to have proper training. There's a lot of people out there that'll buy a gun and think that's the end of it. And in fact, I believe that's kind of the beginning of it.
You guys will be helping each other out, making sure they get the best training value out of this.
Willis and 8 others went through day 2 of Cowan's training, the practical experience. Cowan came up with these active shooter scenarios based on real situations.
Through the room as you move all the way to that wall over there.
With only the designated bad guy knowing what was going to happen, Cowan let his students loose to decide when, how,
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
even if to shoot.
What are you going to do now?
Cowan stands near the Good Samaritan in every scenario, explaining what he's doing right,
Figure out something to do with him. You might need that other hand.
what he's doing wrong, and what can be done better to stop the active shooter from doing more harm.
Treat it like you would the real world. If you wouldn't draw your gun in the real world, don't draw your gun in the scenario.
The bad guy or guys and the concealed weapons holder in each scenario fire what's called simunition. Each person in the scenario wears a protective mask and maybe other protection as well. I participated as a role player, hit during a shootout in 2 of the scenarios, acting like I'd been shot in others, and diving out of the way when bullets started flying.
Put it down! Put it down! Straight your arm! Get down! Don't move!
Chris Willis was the bad guy in that scenario.
Probably the most interesting thing is how quickly the scenarios move. It'll go from normal everyday life, sitting in a movie theater or a restaurant, to all hell breaking loose in less than a second. And before you know it, there's bullets flying, and you're trying to figure out what to do. So I think really the speed of it has been probably the most harrowing thing. It's scary.
I can't encourage training for responsible citizens enough. It's a right to carry a firearm. I get that. It's also a responsibility.
And while his classes seem to fill up faster following mass shootings like Paris or Charleston or San Bernardino, he believes his efforts can ultimately change outcomes in the world.
One citizen at a time, we can make everybody safer. You know, by building on the fact that the better trained we are as a society, the better trained we are as gun owners, the less likely or the harder target we're going to create for anyone that wants to create chaos and death.
Now, since promotion of this particular story began, we've heard from viewers asking about run, hide, fight. That's advice given by the Department of Homeland Security and other agencies for those who find themselves in an active shooter situation. Run means have an escape plan in mind wherever you're at in case something like that happens. Hide in an area out of the shooter's view, blocking the entrance to your hiding place, locking doors, and making sure to silence your cell phone. And as a last resort, fight, and that's only when your life is in imminent danger. So that fight element is demonstrated in this video produced by the City of Houston's Public Safety and Homeland Security Office. In the reenactment, you'll see office workers try to incapacitate a shooter. They act with aggression. They even throw items at the shooter. This video is now a training tool for multiple federal agencies, including the FBI. The gentleman you heard us talking with, Aaron Cowan, tells us that it can be very good advice for most people. Not everyone is going to take the actions that we saw some of those students take.
Ken, 2 kinds of people in the world. People who don't have a gun and don't want one. People who want a gun and people who have them. They're just as different as night and day. Does Mr. Cowan and Sage Dynamics, do they believe that everyone should have a gun and learn how to use it?
When we asked about that, it was, in essence, he kind of told me yes and no. He says he doesn't believe in a totalitarian state or a mandate that everyone has to own a gun, because he says, hey, not everyone who can legally have one wants one. That's that one element you talked about, Tom. However, he also said that he'd prefer a society that won't accept being easy targets to violent criminals. And while he hopes his students never need those skills that they learn from him, in his words, he told me, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener at war. And it was really interesting because one of the things that they kept focusing on was you can have a gun, but the responsibility doesn't end there. It's knowing exactly how to use it and when, or whether you should.
And very quickly, a lot of people interested in this. Was it worth people actually going and checking this out, do you feel?
I really think so. Different skill levels are different. I'm not a gun owner, but I went and participated in that role playing. I learned a lot. And it also forces, I think, everyone in that class to decide, would I be willing to use a gun if I had one? That's a pretty important question for everybody to try and answer it. As a matter of fact, a lot of you have asked about these. To see all 8 training scenarios that we went through, you can go to our website, news4jax.com. There you're going to find a slideshow of the 2 days we spent under Cowan's instruction. And we've got a link there to future training that he's providing through his company there, Sage Dynamics. We've also included Houston's entire Run, Hide, Fight video produced in an effort to help educate the public. So look at news4jax.com. That'll be on the homepage for you.